Hello everybody, and welcome to the demo for a new game called Scene Investigators. One of my patrons and longtime community viewers thought that this would be a good game for me to try out because I have a bachelor's degree in forensic science with a focus in crime scene investigation. And while I did have a lot of focus on classes in chemistry in particular, I also have done plenty of other things. Taphonomy, the study of decomposition, insect biology, crime scene photography, bloodstains as evidence, crime scene investigation and management. I've studied a lot about crime scene investigation, and apparently this is supposed to be a game that is a little bit more for fans of the true crime genre, a little bit more of an accurate representation to what crime scene analysis is actually like. So from what I understand, this particular game has less of a focus on giving you hints and basically expects you to do everything on your own, with no assistance or support whatsoever, or something to that effect. That's how I understand it, which could be interesting, because crime scene investigation is sorely misunderstood. A part of it, too, is that a lot of people expect these things to go by really fast, and there are jump cuts to what's actually happening, but the truth is that a lot of crime scene investigations can take hours, days, weeks, sometimes even months to complete. I mean, there is sometimes so much evidence to go through and to put together, and the job of crime scene investigators and forensic technicians is to provide an objective observation and make their own conclusions based on that. There's as little subjectivity as possible, and there is only the desire to find the truth. Now granted, I'm not a professional in the forensic field. Unfortunately, I was not able to find a job professionally in the forensic field. Most entry-level positions are asking for experience, which is kind of hard to get in the forensic field. It's a very competitive field, but I do have plenty of educational experience. Again, not only was my bachelor's degree in forensic science, but I could choose for a focus in forensic biochemistry or in crime scene investigation, and I chose the crime scene investigation route. And I do have a lot of practical experience. There were a number of the forensic classes that I attended where we needed to do more practical things. We needed to create our own blood experiments. We were processing mock crime scenes and participating in mock trial with law students. So while I may not have professional experience, and while I do have plenty of education, I also do have a lot of practical experience because that is how a lot of the classes were run. That is how we had to learn. And it makes sense. It's a very diverse field. I mean, people don't realize what forensic techs do. We're photographers. We're scribes. I mean, we're evidence collectors. We need to know chemistry and physics for any on-site tests and understanding of how everything is pieced together. And I say we, even though I technically don't have any professional experience, but this is still my field. This is still my fascination, and this is my interest. This is, in a large sense, who I am. A lot of people probably know me for reacting to South Park, for drawing comics, for playing all kinds of games, but this is a part of who I am that people don't usually get to see. This is an important part of who I am, and trying to create content that's more science-oriented is kind of tricky because it's a lot harder to put together and edit together in a way that's informative, interesting, professional, educational. Same thing as informative. Well, no, not entirely. Informative and educational aren't really synonymous. They can overlap, but they're not synonymous with each other. So, but I'm curious to see how this game goes because there are not really a lot of games that go the forensic route in an accurate portrayal. And more often than not, if they do try and go for more accurate portrayals, they usually have certain requirements to pass, like you need to find this certain amount of evidence or something along those lines. But this game apparently does not have the same... what's the word I'm looking for? Scene Investigators is a deductive reasoning game for fans of the true crime genre. Step into recreated crime scenes, observe closely for pieces of evidence, analyze possible motives behind the crimes, and uncover what truly happened. This case is one of a dinner party. 5 friends and acquaintances have gathered for a meal. Someone was murdered. All the clues are in the scene. Can you solve the case? Submit your answers to the computer and see if the case is truly solved. Alright. Why can I run? I mean, it makes sense to be able to crouch, use a flashlight, back, examine, escape, interact, zoom. Okay. Oh, interact is right-click. Oh, that's interesting. Why is there always a run option? That always makes me nervous with games. Please do not tell me that there's going to be some kind of murderer in here. Alright, observe the scene and answer the questions in the respective text boxes. Who sat in chair number 5 and chair number 2? Who is Claire's cousin? Who died? Who is the killer? Okay. Gotcha. Alright. So, what is... Happy birthday to you. Let's read. Happy birthday, Clara. Thank you for your support while I was in AA, which is usually stands for Alcoholics Anonymous. Henry is so fortunate to have you. Hope you have a great year, Jake. Everybody was meeting for Clara, and Clara was in Alcoholics Anonymous. Oh, no, Clara was not in Alcoholics Anonymous. One of her friends was. Okay, Jake was in Alcoholics Anonymous. Clara is the one for whom they're all celebrating. Henry is fortunate to have Jake, probably as a friend. There's some kind of close relationship with them. Okay. Alright, something's up with the TV, it seems. What's this? Fantasie Amour. Valet parking. Interesting. 99 Funnel Road, New York City. New York City's postal code is 123, I'm pretty sure. Car park, valet parking. So the date is February 14th, 2003. Okay, what is this? Guest list? Jake, Edwin, Jenny. Okay, so Jake, Edwin, Jenny, and Clara were all here, but there's still one person who is technically unaccounted for. This is assuming that this guest list is correct, of course. So Jake was in Alcoholics Anonymous, and he was celebrating with Clara, and he was celebrating with Edwin and Jenny. Claire's birthday was April 22nd, 2003. Ah, she had a doctor appointment in March, on March 13th of 2003. February, Clara leaves for LA and then returns from LA. So Clara was in LA for about a week. But we still don't know whose house this is, actually. It is locked. Door is... Oh, the door is inaccessible for the demo. Oh, okay. Good to know. Okay, this is a purse. Have to figure out exactly what you can interact with and what you can't, you know? Alright, what do we have here? We have matches. Fantasia Amour matches. Interesting. What else? We have lipstick. So this is obviously the bag of a female. We have pink lilac. What does this say? Water resident. Leaves no marks or smears. Interesting. And what's this? Nico patch. Oh! Nico patch. Stop smoking aid. Behavior support program with self-help guide. That's a lot of drug facts, okay. Alright, can I interact with these? I can! What is this? The Red Sky. Clara Gibson, 680 High Noon Drive, Forest Hills, New York. Heather Brown. Huh. So was Clara being sent something from Heather Brown? Is that why she went to LA? Clara, dear, it's been a month since you came to visit me. Remember what we talked about. I think it's time you end things with him. You've endured far too long and need to move on. Think about it and write me back. Oh, so Clara was in an odd relationship with somebody. Was that why she went back to LA? Do her parents live there? Or at least her mother? Okay, there is a lip mark here. If I can... Oh my god. Oh, I was zooming in, that's why. Now, lip prints can actually be a thing. They can actually be something that... They're not completely unique, necessarily, but you can still tell them apart. Da Vinci? 1994 Chianti. Ooh, excellent choice. So number 2 was the person who probably fell over. Which means this lip print, or maybe... Number 2 or number 3. It is possible that because of the mess on number 3, it is the individual who is sitting here that was the one who fell over. Alright, what does this say? Gibson Henry. Gibson Henry. Wait. Interesting. Wait, Gibson lives here as well. Because I believe this is the same address as Clara's. Alright. Edwin Briggs, attorney at law. Attorney for what, I wonder? What is this? Our abortion clinic. Oh, okay, that is interesting. It is interesting that this Gibson Henry would have that. Hang on, let me look at that letter again. So Clara's mom is telling her to end something with somebody, which could be this Heather Brown, but it's interesting because her name, it's Clara Gibson is her name, but this man's name was Gibson Henry? Oh, Henry Gibson. Okay, so wait a second. No, there was a Henry mentioned earlier, I believe. Henry is so fortunate. Okay, so Henry and Clara are married, but Henry has 2 cards in his wallet, one for an attorney, one for an abortion clinic. And Clara's mother was talking about Clara wanting to end things. Okay, I'm getting a little bit of a better picture now. Jake, Edwin, and Jenny were here or were supposed to be here. And this, I believe, is Clara and Henry's house or apartment. Okay, what is this? Read. Make reservation on the 14th. Appointment with Dr. Richardson on the 13th. Dinner with company members. Clara's birthday. Just have to see what all I can interact with, because some things I cannot interact with. What's this? Liver warning. This product contains benzaclin? Sever? One of 3 possibilities. Either the game accidentally misspelled that, which seems a little bit unlikely if it's supposed to be a more accurate crime scene investigation rendition. The pharmacy accidentally printed it wrong, or it's a fake label. Severe liver damage may occur if you take more than 4,000 milligrams of benzaclin in 24 hours. That seems like a lot. 4 grams. With other drugs containing benzaclin, 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day while using this product, do not take more than 7,000 milligrams at any given time. Seek medical attention immediately. Stop use and ask doctor if pain gets worse or lasts more than 10 days. New symptoms occur. Internal bleeding occurs. May cause vomiting or internal bleeding or dizziness. Date 4/14, which is April 14th. No refills. Doctor authorization required. Okay. 4/14. Is that what I think it is? Hold up. Where's that calendar again? 4/14. Okay, so it was 3/13 that the doctor appointment happened, which means that there could only be about a month's supply, which could explain why it was in the trash. I'm just trying to piece things together. It's locked. All these doors are locked and inaccessible for me. Interesting. It says all the clues are here. The medication warned about alcohol use, which, if taken into account with an abortion clinic, means that somebody probably would not be drinking alcohol, which means that Clara would most likely have been the one sitting in chair number 5, who is Clara's cousin. I'm willing to bet that Jake is the one, because Jake was in AA and he was thanking Clara for helping him with AA, which means that Jake is most likely Clara's cousin. Assuming that this is correct and I can find all the information in this one single room, it makes the most sense that Jake is Clara's cousin. Oh, I did. Hi, honey. I'm out shopping. Would you mind setting the table, please? Remember, my cousin can't drink wine. Serve him orange juice instead. Ed is left-handed. Oh. I feel so ridiculous. It wasn't Clara. Jake is who was the one who sat in chair number 5, and Jake is Claire's cousin. I feel silly that I missed that earlier. Ed is left-handed, which means he would have been grabbing the wine with his left hand, which means that Edwin was the one sitting in chair number 2. I think we can confirm that Jake and Edwin were here, and that Clara and or Henry were also here. So I believe I can confirm that Clara was the one who died. So it's only a matter of finding out who the killer was. Which, if there were marital problems, water resistant. Wait. Leaves no marks and no smears. Clara leaves for LA. Wait, where? Does it say where this is? It's in New York City. That doesn't make sense, though. February 14th. It's in New York City. But Clara wasn't even in New York City. Which means, is this even her bag? Because there's still the problem with Jenny. So Jenny may have been involved in this party after all. The question, I feel like the question is between Henry, Clara, and Jenny, who was here, because Jake and Edwin were definitely here. There's enough evidence to support that. Because here's the other problem, is that this doesn't say who it's for. Interesting that I can open all these drawers when there's nothing I can do to interact with any of them. I think there's a good chance I've interacted with everything that I could. Edwin was here. Jake was there with orange juice. Henry was trying to bring an attorney and an abortion doctor into the mix. Unclear if Clara was also involved in that. Here's the problem too, is that somebody went to Fantasia Moore on the 14th, but it wasn't Clara because she was in LA. Unless she wasn't in LA. It's been a month. Okay, so maybe Clara was actually in LA, because if this was acquired recently, it would have been about a month since she visited LA. Somebody left a lip print. But whose was it? If that is Clara's bag, but she has something that's water resistant and doesn't leave smudges or smears, then she would not have been sitting here. Unless she went to LA and perhaps Henry got her something different than usual, which did cause her to leave a mark on the glass. This guest list is so bothering me because we know Jake and Edwin were there, but we don't know if Jenny was there. There doesn't seem to be any mention of her otherwise. I'm convinced that Jenny may not have actually been there, because it seems that this is Clara and Henry's place. Clara asked Henry to go shopping and set the table. Then the question becomes, who died? I think there's only one option that I can go with. Jake was in chair number 5, Edwin was in chair number 2, Jake is Clara's cousin. Clara was the one who died, and Henry was very possibly the one who killed her. That's all I got. Yes, I want to submit. I got 3 of 5 correct answers. Fudge. Doesn't even tell me what I got correct. I'm gonna try and go over a couple more scenarios. Hang on. I'm gonna try submitting just these 3 to see how many I get right. If I get 3 of 5, then I know I got 2 of 5 correct. Wait. So I could be right that Clara was the one who died. So what if I just do this then? Believe that Jake is the one who's in chair number 5 and Edwin was in chair number 2. That seems pretty self-explanatory. Somebody's wrong. Somebody was in the wrong chair? That doesn't make sense. I'm confident that Jake is Clara's cousin and sat in chair 5. I'm going to check this. If I'm right, I got 2 out of 5. So Edwin is not the one who was sitting in chair number 2? What? But he's left-handed. So if Edwin wasn't sitting in chair number 2, who was? Unless glasses got switched? This doesn't make any sense. I could have sworn that Edwin was the one who was going to be sitting in chair number 2. It made sense. I was either right about the killer and wrong about who died, or right about who died and wrong about the killer. Right about who died and wrong about the killer, yes. I'm going to say that Clara was the one who died. Clara was the one who died. But Henry wasn't the one who killed her. So neither Edwin nor Henry was sitting there. And Clara definitely wasn't because she was the one who died. And neither was Jake because he was sitting elsewhere. Was Jenny actually at that party? That, in a weird way, it's the only thing that makes sense, because we don't know enough about Jenny. We don't know if she's left or right-handed. We don't really know anything about her. The most we know about anybody are Clara, Henry, and Jake. So Jake was definitely in chair number 5, and he's Clara's cousin. Clara was the one who died. I'm gonna try this. Maybe Jenny is the killer. I'm gonna see how many answers I get right. Holy crap. Let me explain my reasoning behind this. We knew very little about Jenny and Edwin. The purse that was hanging in the room, it had lipstick and some stuff that was smear-proof. But Clara didn't have that. There was also a valet ticket from Fantasia Amore, but there was never any confirmation on who actually went. It couldn't have been Clara because she was in LA, and it could have potentially been Henry. But if the bag truly belonged to Jenny, and that was her stuff, then she was the one who went to Fantasia Amore. But it doesn't make any sense for why she would kill Clara, whether it was on purpose or not. Based on the placements of the stuff at the table, there were only 4 people there. Jake was definitely there. Clara was definitely there. But there was no solid indication as to whether Henry, Edwin, or Jenny was there. It was heavily implied based on clues that Henry and Edwin were also there. And there was no indication that Jenny was there because there was no indication that that purse was hers, because her purse had lipstick and smear-resistant gloss of some kind. But that also could have been Clara's, but there was no actual confirmation that that could have been Clara or Jenny's, especially because there was a guest list and there were supposedly, with all the clues piled together, there were 5 people there, but only 4 settings. So did somebody just not eat? Jenny was the one who was apparently sitting at chair number 2, and she was the one who killed Clara. But there were no indications as to why, or if it was on accident or on purpose. I mean, I know it says murder, but still, there's technically speaking no indications right here. There was really no indication or connecting evidence that Jenny was there. Because, in part, because there was no indication that all 5 of them were there. Because she was only mentioned on the guest list. Everything else was a possible implication or idea, but there was never anything solid. I suppose the only possible solid clue was the fact that there were clearly 3 men and 2 women in the picture of the 5 individuals, and one of them was in LA by the time that lipstick and something else was bought at Fantasia Amore, which only leaves Jenny. But I still feel like that's not a good tying clue. That still doesn't make a lot of sense. Because again, there's no indication that that bag belonged to Jenny. I know the room said that all the clues were there, so either I missed something, which I'm finding a little bit of a difficult time believing, or the clues were not necessarily solid. It's a solid game and a solid concept, but I have a little bit of a problem with how that was all laid out. I could very well have missed something, and that was entirely on me. If I got all the clues that I could possibly interact with, there's a little bit something iffy about how that all could have tied in together. Because there was every indication that there were some marital problems, whether it's related to children and or legality, between Clara and Henry. the most likely choice, or the most likely idea, would have been that Henry killed Clara, or Clara accidentally killed herself as a result of marital problems or medication issues with alcohol, something along those lines. And there was enough evidence that was placed regarding the relationship between Clara and Jake, and less so with Edwin, but there was enough tying into the fact that he probably could have been the one, and he probably was there at the second seat. So I'm just really struggling, because I feel like there's a lot of missing information here that just doesn't make sense. I mean, if there's a lot of information that's supposed to be present, say because this is just the demo, and there were still a lot of things that I technically did not have access to. Again, I like the concept, but I'm having an issue with how this was executed, because some of the evidence made sense, but then other times the evidence led in a completely different direction that made no sense. When you're being told what what correct answers you got and what the answers were, that may make me look a little bit biased. There was so much evidence. Okay, not so much, but there was enough evidence that pointed to the fact that Edwin should have been in the one in chair 2, and that there were probably only 4 people there, not 5. And there was enough evidence to show that Clara and Jake at least were there, and so was Henry, and very likely Edwin too. There was there was no evidence to suggest that Jenny was there too, besides the bag, and we still didn't even have confirmation that it was hers, because even though it was a purse, it didn't even seem to have any ID in it. So either I'm misunderstanding a functionality of the game, I missed a piece or two of evidence, or just the demo was not super executed very well. In which case, there are some cases where I could be at fault for that, and I would completely own up to that. But mildly disappointed. But again, good concept, and there was still very limited access that I had to some things. So maybe it would make more sense if I had the actual full game and the build, which I technically do, but I've also been doing this for a little over an hour at this point, so I don't know. It was a little bit of a cheap shot to get all the, figure out which questions were correct and which ones weren't. Maybe, but I'm glad I did, because it allowed me to fully understand, or well, mostly understand the situation and get all my thoughts out on the table as an individual who is familiar with forensic science and crime scene investigation. Good concept, little iffy on the execution, but it's certainly better than plenty of other games. I feel like what the game could have done too is made me interact with more objects. Give me more red herrings that actually have nothing to do with the crime scene, because that's what crime scenes actually are, is you don't know what's evidence and what's not, but you have to check as much as possible, whether it looks suspicious or otherwise. Like, there were so many books and, like, I'm a little surprised that I couldn't maybe interact with the TV, and that it didn't do anything, and that so many of the cupboards were empty. Granted, this was just a demo, so they probably couldn't have a whole bunch of stuff in here, but I think it would be good to have more to interact with, and some of it mean absolutely nothing, because that would throw off so many people, because that's what true crime is that crime scenes are crazy messy, and you don't know what's evidence, and you don't know what's pertinent to what happened. Not everything is relevant to what's happening, and I think that should be stated. That should be implied, at the very least. I imagine I'm going to try out the full version of the game, and hopefully it goes a little bit more smoothly. I thought I was on the right track. I missed a couple of things, but then eventually got back on track. But the addition of having Jenny as being the one sitting in chair number 2 and being the killer, little thrown off by that. So thank you all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and please feel free to check out my Patreon, because I have a lot of great patrons there, and there are a lot of great rewards there, from early or exclusive access to videos, special in-depth information on art projects and comic pages, and just all kinds of stuff. If anybody's able to help, or at the very least check that out or share, that would be most appreciated. So thank you all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and as usual, until the next video guys, check you laters.